Welcome to the Birdwatching channel and this third in a series of 3 programs about woodpeckers. I'm your host, fellow birdwatcher Sharon Sorensen. In part 1, we looked at what makes woodpeckers different from other songbirds. In part 2, we focused on 6 common woodpecker species, identifying them, distinguishing males from females, and adults from youngsters. In part 3, we'll talk about how to attract woodpeckers to your yard. So, having learned about the 6 woodpeckers most common to the Midwestern and Eastern United States, if you live in that area, you must surely be thinking, boy, I'd like to have some of those woodpeckers in my yard. And assuming that they live in your area, maybe we can do something to help you attract them. First and most critically, we have to offer nest sites. As you already know, all woodpeckers require nest cavities to raise their families. If they can't find an appropriate tree to excavate their nest cavities, then they simply don't breed and their populations decline. You see this northern flicker coming out of his nest cavity, and you'll notice that it's just in a dead tree. And likewise with this red-headed woodpecker, a dead tree that has broken off, we call those snags, and it has excavated a nest there and ready to breed. And so you may be thinking, well, okay, how about offering some nest cavities? Geez, I'm handy, I can build nest boxes, or I'll have a little extra cash this week, I can buy some nest boxes. But I have some questions about that. Even though the internet offers all kinds of designs for nest boxes and gives you dimensions and instructions for building and mounting and properly monitoring and establishing predator guards for them, the literature doesn't bear out the fact that woodpeckers will actually use man-made nest boxes. So, in the long haul, whenever possible, keep dead trees and decayed tree limbs on the property. Just don't get chainsaw happy and feel that you always have to have things cut down. Well, now wait though, I'm not suggesting that you leave things that are going to threaten your house or your neighbor's house or threaten the vehicles or cause damage to life and limb. No, I'm not suggesting any of that. But if a tree is out of the way, doesn't hurt anything, doesn't threaten anything, then why not leave that dead tree stand? Why not leave that dead limb there, all for the sake of the woodpeckers? In my own yard, we had a tulip tree that was threatening our house. You'll notice the trees are really heavy on one side and it was leaning. And of course you can imagine it was leaning right toward the house. So the tree guys came and said, oh, that has to come down because in the next severe storm you'll probably lose your roof. So we talked about it a bit and compromised and decided instead of cutting it to the ground that we would cut it into a snag. So it remains now as sort of a sculpture, if you will, and I've landscaped around it. Has it worked? You bet. Every single day, woodpeckers, that's plural, woodpeckers, come to this tree to hammer in the bark, to chisel out, excavate holes for feeding. And so they're busy there all the time. In fact, one day, all 6 of those common species were on that tree, not at the same time, but all on the same day, plus a 7th one, a migrating yellow-bellied sapsucker. Now, folks, that's pretty successful woodpecker attraction. But also know that woodpeckers do come to feeders, some more readily than others. Yes, I have had all 6 of those common woodpeckers come to my feeders, but some of them come multiple times a day, and some of them come, if I'm lucky, a couple of times a year. Red-bellied woodpeckers come multiple times a day, and for them I offer pure soot. I like the pure soot because rather than attracting a whole array of birds by stuffing seed and fruit and all kinds of things in the soot, I'm attracting only those birds that eat pure soot. I'm a believer in offering things separately. If a bird wants seed, let's let him eat seed rather than have him shred a soot cake to get to the seed, throw the soot on the ground to attract rodents. So that's just my philosophy, but that works at my house. So pure soot indeed is attractive to them. I don't have to offer it in any kind of fancy feeder. I can drill holes in a log and hang the log on some handy limb or from a shepherd's hook and stuff the holes with pure soot, and they like that just as well. But I've also, in the dead of winter, when it's really cold, I'm talking 0 temperatures, maybe in the teens, and woodpeckers are having a hard time, I'll smear crunchy peanut butter on the trees. Now, I don't do that in the summertime because, as you know, peanut butter is very oily. In fact, that's why it's good for the birds. But it just becomes a real mess when there's warm weather. So I'm selective about when I offer peanut butter. It's sort of a, last-ditch effort to help them. Woodpeckers do love that soot, however, whether it's pure soot, I guess, or any of the others, and they will fight for it. I just had to show you this picture because, you know what, the hairy woodpecker beat the pants off that starling, and the starling fled in terror. So they'll protect their food sources, and I like seeing that. Woodpeckers also like some seed. Not all woodpeckers eat a lot of seed, but I find that the little downy woodpecker is particularly fond of seed cakes. I have never had a pileated come to a seed cake, but I have had all of the rest of them come to seed cakes. This is a commercial seed cake that is marketed primarily for woodpeckers, but other things eat it as well. I've had cardinals and mockingbirds and blue jays and wrens and chickadees and titmice, and almost everything that likes any kind of seed will come to it, but of course only the woodpeckers can eat the big seeds. If you wish, just offer seed separately. And if you do that, then consider black oil sunflower seed as the primary offering. Woodpeckers do like that. But woodpeckers also like fruit, natural fruit. This is the fruit on a sweet bay magnolia. It ripens in, late August, early September. And as those seed heads pop open, many birds find that fruit attractive, including the woodpeckers. In the spring, late May, early June, when our mulberries ripen, the woodpeckers come to that as well. In fact, I'm pretty sure this red-bellied woodpecker was taking mulberries to her nestlings. Even in the fall, the pileated woodpecker will get on the dogwood tree and pluck the berries from it. So natural fruit, plant native trees that provide fruit, and you'll have yet a year-round, almost year-round source of fruit for your birds. You might consider offering shelled corn. That would be primarily for your red-headed and red-bellied woodpeckers. Downies and hairies are too small to crack that corn. Flickers aren't interested in it. I've never seen a pileated go after corn. But notice I've said shelled corn, not cracked. If you're shopping in the grocery store for yourself, that's called whole kernel corn. Avoid cracked corn unless you're willing to deal with all the house sparrows and the starlings and the grackles and the cowbirds that all come for shelled corn. They're not attracted, cracked corn, they're not attracted to shelled corn because it's too big for them to handle. So consider what you're offering. You always get what you feed. And finally, offer water, particularly moving water. We have a bubble rock. It has a 40-gallon reservoir under it. That lets me put a heater in it in the wintertime. So we offer water year-round, and it's always moving water. And why is that important? Well, two reasons. One, you don't have a problem with mosquitoes if you have moving water. They don't breed in moving water. And in some parts of the country, it's illegal to have standing water, as you would have to have in a bird bath, for instance, a pedestal bath. And the other reason is that birds are naturally attracted to water sources by the noise, by the sound that they're making. So you have a double advantage by offering moving water. So folks, there you have it for attracting woodpeckers. You provide some natural nest sites. You offer soot and seed cakes and black oil sunflower seeds and maybe some shelled corn. And provide moving water, and you will have done everything you can do to draw them to your yard. And I wish you all the best of the results. So I hope you've enjoyed learning about woodpeckers' unique features, learning to identify 6 of the common ones in the Midwestern and Eastern United States, and how to attract woodpeckers to your yard. Meanwhile, if you wish to learn more about bird watching, I have 3 books out there that you may find helpful, and they are available on all the usual sources online and in most of your friendly bookstores. You may wish to consider my website, birdsintheyard.com, and maybe you'd like to join me on Facebook, where I try to post something about birds and bird habitat every day. So happy birding! And may you always have birds in your binoculars.